Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. Saturday NFL playoff action. We've got Carolina at Seattle. This is going to be Brian Leonard's free play. Brian, we've got two of the hottest teams in the NFL banging heads here. We've got Carolina 5 straight wins, and we got Seattle 6 straight wins. Something's got to give, but nobody really is giving Carolina any respect. And if I hear it one more time this week, I'm probably going to scream, if Carolina would have played anybody else last week, they would have lost. Maybe they would have, but they only can play who they played, and that's what they did, and they took care of business. And the thing that I'll say about it is, yeah, Arizona shot themselves in the foot quite a bit in that game, but Carolina missed some golden opportunities themselves with turnovers that they could have put the game way out of reach. Yeah,
I have this discussion every year. So there'll be a team in college football that'll come out, and I'll just run the table right on, and I'll say, that team's great, and then somebody else will come in and say, well, they haven't played anybody. But you're beating the teams that are on your schedule, and that's all you're asked to do, and that's what Carolina's doing right now. And we're looking at a total of 40 here and a line of 11. You don't see that very often in the playoffs. You don't see double-digit underdogs in the playoffs, especially this round, with a total of 40 especially.
Talking correlated parlay?
Could be a correlated parlay. I just don't see, in my opinion on this game, I don't see how either team really distanced themselves. You go back the last 3 times they played, they've all been extremely low-scoring games. These teams are pretty much a mirror of each other when they're healthy. Offensively, they both have a mobile quarterback. They have a pretty good running game when they have healthy people. The defenses are outstanding. Carolina's defense has been just as good as Seattle's lately because they're healthy. And right now, people are going back and they're looking at what Carolina did early in the season when they had a lot of injuries. They're a lot better team now. So you've got to give them some credit. And I know some guys that are out there playing the money line on Carolina.
They're not the same team that they were at the beginning of the season. No question about that. And one thing about the defense, and I'll say 2 things with the defense. First off, because the running game is working now for Carolina, and let's face it, when the running backs are getting yardage and then Cam Newton is getting yardage off of the read option, then the passing game works. I've said it a million times. You give me an average quarterback and give me a good running game, you're going to make the average quarterback a good quarterback. You get a good quarterback, you're going to make him a above average great quarterback. And right now you're seeing Carolina, all of the things are working for them offensively, and the defense has been carrying the load. This defense has held they've gone through a stretch. 6 of their last 7 opponents, they've held to 19 points or less. Now, granted, they did play some soft teams in there, but they also played Atlanta twice and the Saints once. We know those were not good teams, but they were good offensive teams, and they shut them down. The only team that scored more than 19 points on them during that stretch, and it'll be the last time I mention that game, maybe the rest of the year, was Minnesota. They scored 31, but 14 of the 31 points did come on special teams with those 2 block punts. So technically, the defense held Minnesota to 17 points in that game. The defense is playing super.
Defense is playing great, and as I mentioned, you look at past history, the last 3 times they played have been all low-scoring games. I don't see anything different here. I mean, a lot of people are going to look at Seattle and think Seattle's obviously the better team because of what they've done on the season, and they are the better team. That's why they're an 11-point favorite. But I think if you were to take Carolina plus 11 or take the under, the worst you're going to do is split them. I don't see Seattle winning this game in a blowout. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Seattle's offense has not been great all season long. They've had struggles offensively. Obviously, it comes down to turnovers. When you see turnovers, that's how you get your blowouts. Both of these teams, the way they play, I don't see turnovers happening very often. The other team throws a lot of interceptions. They don't fumble the ball a lot. Conservative game plans. I look for this to be a low-scoring game. I lean with the Carolina side plus the 11, but I think the under is the better play here.
Yeah, and I'll throw a stat in there for you, and you said Seattle's offense hasn't been that great. 5 of the last 7 games, and everybody's talking about how they closed this season and how good they played, they scored 20 or less in 5 of the last 7 games. If you're only averaging 20 points or less, and you're laying 11, and the total's 40, start doing the math. There's not a lot of room for error either way there, and I don't think think you would be out of the ballpark with Carolina plus the points unless everything unravels. And if it unravels, it could unravel on both bets, because turnovers, depending what side of the field they happen on, can either, everybody always assumes turnovers automatically going to send a game over the total. But if you go, exactly. If you go on an 8-minute drive and turn it over inside the 10, you just killed a total, let me tell you. All right, Brian says to take this one under on Saturday. And I got to tell you, Mr. Leonard's been hot with some plays, and he's got a big play going on Saturday. It's his divisional round destroyer in the NFL playoffs. You want to check that out for Brian, you can go to wagertalk.com and get that play. Check it out. Don't forget, you can also buy it as part of the weekend all access for Brian, or since this game's on Saturday, they can pick that up with the one-day power pass as well. So check that out, wagertalk.com, Brian Leonard's divisional round destroyer. We're going to come right back and see if we can destroy some stuff on Sunday. We're going to take a look at a couple of NFL games for you on Sunday next, wagertalk.com.